go on our new habits, our healthy habits. We've identified our goals, and we're like, this is the time I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to maintain my healthy habits so that way I can achieve my goals on the other side. Because we know it's the small habits we do every single day that allow the success versus those one off things. Think about training for a marathon. You don't just get off the couch and run a marathon. You have to train. You might do a 3K, a 5K, a 10K, and build yourself up to the half or even full marathon. You're not just going for that because if you just ran a full marathon, you probably A, wouldn't make it. Your muscles might give out. Your mindset wouldn't be prepared. So, in this podcast episode, we're going to be talking about how the power of staying consistent and the real reason why you struggle with consistency. And it actually has nothing to do with what we think it is. It's not a lack of discipline, it's not a lack of motivation, a lack of determination. It's an internal game. And if we haven't prepared our nervous system for this internal shift, no matter the changes, no matter the goals, no matter how much we want it, it's not going to happen. So let's dive right in on why it feels so difficult for you to stay consistent with your healthy habits. A lot of times we get stuck in this cycle and we get stuck in this cycle of we start taking these aligned actions and we're doing these aligned actions for our healthy habits. And then all of a sudden things start to get really good. We're seeing shifts, we're seeing changes. And what happens is our nervous system starts to freeze. And when our nervous system is in freeze mode, we feel unable to sustain the healthy habits. We feel paralyzed. Kind of think of being outside when it's really cold and we're like frozen and we're shaking trying to stay warm. You have all this energy of where you want to stay consistent, but you're unable to move. Kind of like when you're cold and you're just shaking and you're shivering and you're like the cute little penguins, but you're unable to take that next step. What's happening is you've hit an upper limit. And an upper limit is how much your nervous system can handle of things going well. Our nervous system is trained for struggle. Our nervous system is trained for the shoe to drop, fear, uncertainty, all of the things. So we actually have to train our nervous system. We have to train our mind and our body to handle things going well. And if we're staying consistent and we're, let's say, for example, eating really healthy, exercising, hydrating, doing all of our healthy habits, it is only a matter of time for our life to completely change. But as I said before, our nervous system is not prepared to handle good things. Our nervous system is only prepared for fear, uncertainty. Why do you think negative news spreads so much faster than positive news? Because our brain is wired for fear. We feel safer in fear because then we're like, all right, I can make a plan. I can make A, B, C, D, E, F, G plan. But have we ever made a plan for when things get really good? Have we ever asked ourselves, ooh, what happens if things get even better? What happens if I make more money than I expect? What happens if my content creation success goes further than I've ever expected? No, we think worst case scenario. Oh, well, if the content creation thing doesn't work, I guess I can go back to my 9 to 5. Or if my entrepreneur journey doesn't work, I can go back to my 9 to 5. We don't ever prepare for best case scenario or even better case scenario. We prepare for worse. So our brain is constantly looking for ways to self sabotage. And self sabotage looks like avoidance. Self sabotage looks like procrastination. Self sabotage looks like, oh, well, I really want to work on XYZ, but oh, I've got the dishes. Oh, not only do I have the dishes, I've got laundry. Oh, and I should probably cook dinner. Oh, and my friend sent me a TikTok. I should probably watch that. And then before we know, we've totally stopped what we were doing that's going to help us achieve our goals. So, the main reason you are struggling to stay consistent is because your nervous system, your mind do not know how to feel safe in good things. Your mind and body do not know how to constantly receive things getting even better because we know how to set ourselves up for failure. We really don't know how to set ourselves up for success. Because what do we hear? We hear all of these success stories. And then what do people root for? They root for their downfall. We see it all the time with celebrities. We see it with movies. We're seeing it with Snow White. People are like, we are hoping that that thing ruins and it flops and it fails. We are like rooting for people's failures. Again, our brain is wired for fear. So when you're thinking about staying consistent, I want you to think about a goal that you really are working towards. Maybe your goal is to expand your business. Maybe your goal is content creation. Maybe your goal is to lose weight, eat healthier. Whatever your goal is, ask yourself, how many days do you stay consistent with those healthy habits? A lot of times, what happens is we have like a 3-day window. When I'm working with my clients, they tend to have like a 72-hour window and then they self sabotage. So we know around the 72-hour mark, the self sabotage, the impulse for self sabotage is going to be higher. So I want you to think about when you've started a new goal, how many days do you stay with your healthy habits before you either give up, before you self sabotage, before you procrastinate, before you avoid, before you people please, before you put everybody else's needs ahead of yours? And what happens is we think, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. And then later is like a week later, 2 weeks later. And then it's like we're starting over again. And a lot of times we feel safer feeling like we're on our way to achieving our goals versus arriving. And I used to be this way where I was obsessed with personal development. I was in every single personal development. This is like really sad, and I'm going to be very vulnerable for all of you right now watching me, listening to me. I was attending more personal development workshops each week than I was actually working. My schedule all day long was filled with workshops and master classes and trainings and up leveling and EFT tapping sessions. And then I asked myself and I said, does my future self, is she going to be involved in this much personal development? And I said, no, there's no way she's going to be doing this much personal development. And I asked myself, what am I avoiding by doing all of this personal development? And what I was avoiding was trusting my intuition, trusting my inner guidance, trusting that I knew the next step, right? It was fear. Oh, all of these coaches, these mentors, these individuals, they must know something that I don't know. Then I would take the class and I would say, oh, well, I didn't really learn anything, but you never know when something is going to shift. You never know when something's going to change. So then I would buy a course, buy master classes, and I decided in 2025 I was not going to work with any more coaches. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a year of going all in on my intuition. I'm not going to hire any coaches. I'm not going to work with anyone. I'm not going to do any group programs. I'm going to go all in on trusting my intuition. And I have been getting so much internal feedback on what is working and what is not working that I wouldn't have had the time and space if I was avoiding and procrastinating and all those things. So, what we can do to train your nervous system is visualization. So, I want you to think about your goal and I want you to think about achieving it in half the time that you have set. So, this might be scaling your business. This might be growing your YouTube channel. This might be losing weight. This might be eating healthy. This might be getting married. This might be having a baby. This might be whatever milestone. When you close your eyes and you think about receiving that, let's say your goal is 6 months and you receive it in 3 months, are you prepared for that? Okay, if I was to prepare for that, what would I do mentally? I would mentally find safety. Oh, it's actually really safe for me to receive faster. Oh, sometimes we think, oh, it's safe to receive down the road, but what happens if I receive it faster? Okay, so if I start to feel tightness in my chest with the idea of receiving my goal faster, what can I do? Oh, EFT tapping. All right, so we can start tapping. And as we're tapping, we're training our body more, please, more, please, more, please. And when we're saying more, please, for our goals and our dreams and our manifestations, it's not that we are being greedy or selfish. What we're actually doing is telling our nervous system we can handle more. And when we tell our nervous system we can handle more, we're not going to avoid and we're not going to procrastinate. So I want you to think about the next week, think about your goals, think about your healthy habits. Where do you find yourself self-sabotaging? Is it Friday night and you've been eating healthy all week and then it's like Friday night, like drinks and junk food? Is it Monday morning? You've been like so healthy all weekend. You've been like limiting your screen time. You've been doing all these things. And then Monday morning, you like totally neglect your goals. And so, what we can ask ourselves is where have we been neglecting feeling good? And where have we been embracing the chaos, the stress, and the toxicity? Because when you learn the concept of being addicted to stress, you will see so many other people chase it. And they are addicted to stress, they are addicted to chaos, and they will actively seek it. And at first, you're like, why would anyone seek stress? Why would anyone seek chaos? It's because if your nervous system is trained to get regulated by stress and chaos, that's what feels safe for you. Your brain is just going to constantly look for that loop, that chaos loop. So we get to override that by training our brain for more is safe, healthy is safe. We don't have to push our desires aside. We don't have to feel guilt or any negative emotions for wanting more. We can really step into that identity that more is always coming and I can handle it. So ask yourself, where have you been neglecting your true heart's desire because you're afraid you can't stay consistent? And if you're afraid you can't stay consistent, you're probably experiencing one of the 5 trauma responses. So we have 5 different trauma responses when our brain smoke detector, our amygdala gets triggered. It sends a trigger and basically a signal to our nervous system, danger, danger, danger. We've got fight, flight, freeze, submit, and attach, and our body just takes over. And so the most common one that we know about is freeze, where we get frozen. And that is what gets triggered when we are trying to stay consistent with our healthy habits. The beauty is you are 5 steps ahead of your brain's self sabotage, your brain's triggers. So let's say, for example, if things are going really well and you start to notice you have a lot of limiting beliefs pop forward. Limiting beliefs are the other shoe is going to drop, it's too good to be true, it won't last. Oh, we know that is our brain seeking chaos versus expansion. We want to train our brain to seek expansion versus chaos. So, how we train our brain to seek expansion is where can I find time for happiness every day? Okay, great. Now we're looking for happiness. Okay, now ask yourself, where can I expand my happiness every single day? How can I expand my happiness? What could that look like? What could that feel like? So, if you have not been consistent, figure out what your threshold is. Is it 3 days? Is it 7 days? Is it 20 days? If it's 20 days, it's probably not, because usually right around 20 days it becomes a habit. But our threshold with the clients that I've worked with tends to be about 3 days of healthy habits. And then the fourth, fifth day is self sabotage. We want to expand that window of staying consistent with our habits. And then every single day, you want to visualize your goals coming faster, which is going to train your nervous system for more is safe. Not only that more is safe, but expansion is the normal. So visualize, identify your threshold, do the internal work, the EFT tapping to expand, do some visualization, and before you know it, you are going to have your goals happen so much faster without stress, without chaos, without uncertainty, and it's going to feel so good in the process. Consistency is your superpower. So, wherever you're not happy in your life, ask yourself, where can I be more consistent with my healthy habits? And before you know it, your whole world will change. Thank you all for tuning in to this week's podcast episode. I will catch you all in next week's episode. Bye.